Let's say, is Jenna with us? Let us bring on Jenna Ellis. I shouldn't have to actually look at your introduction anymore, Jenna, but she's the director of the Dobson Policy Center. She's a contributor to the Washington Examiner, the Federalist, and the Daily Wire, and her book is called The Legal Basis for a Moral Constitution, a Guide for Christians to Understand America's Current Constitutional Crisis. Jenna, do you know that we now call this the Jenna Spot? Did I tell you that?
Oh, you didn't. I love it. Thanks so much. I'm very happy to come on.
We had Mike Duran on yesterday, and I said to Rob, just put him in the Jenna Spot. You know, it's like, so now
Excellent.
So the New York Times runs this hilarious headline: transgender could be defined out of existence under Trump administration. And one of their editors from Washington, an assistant editor from Washington, tweeted this out as if this were an actual, like a kind of genocide. We were destroying transgender people. What is this all about? Why are they doing this?
Right. And, the hashtag was "we won't be eradicated." And, what's amazing is that if Trump can just eradicate an entire segment of the population through a piece of paper, then, the civil rights movement would have never achieved anything.
Right.
And this probably would have been easier for Hitler, right? So this is just absolutely absurd. And what's really going on is that the definition of gender and sex has never been in our federal government ever legislatively determined by Congress. So we're in this kind of national debate right now as whether sexual orientation or gender identity and transgender status is within the protected class of sex when we're talking about gender discrimination under Title IX. And so that's what we're talking about. And the Department of Health and Human Services had a memo that has now been released through this New York Times article that's basically saying we're going to go back to pre-Obama era regulations and policy. This isn't Trump narrowly defining anything. This is going back to saying that gender is defined as biological, immutable characteristics based on genitalia. That's how it's always been for 6,000 years and as long as humans have been in existence until the Obama-era policy expanded that definition to include sexual orientation, gender identity, and transgender status. And so what the New York Times is trying to define the narrative as is to basically say that Trump and his administration are being bigoted and eradicating transgenderism, but really all that's happening is that he is properly rolling back Obama-era regulations.
I mean, you really could have run a more honest headline saying that the left is trying to define gender out of existence, right? I mean, that was the basis for
Absolutely.
The anti-discrimination idea in the first place. Don't discriminate on the basis of sex, right?
Absolutely. And, this is the New York Times, so do they ever really have any accurate headlines? But yes, they should have said that this is going back to biological definition that doesn't have social policy anywhere in it. And so when we're talking about gender-based discrimination and why we have those types of labor laws, why we have that in gender discrimination education programs, financial assistance, we're literally talking about the difference between men and women. We are making sure that women are not discriminated against. That was the whole idea of this. And yet the left and their social policy is wanting to expand that definition that, hey, I can identify however I want. So, so pretty soon, Andrew, I've been seeing these memes about people who are identifying as cats and dogs. I mean, is that now going to become, it's gender-based, that my gender identity is that I'm a leopard? I mean, at what point do we stop the ridiculousness?
Now, Title IX, it seems to me, has been used as a bludgeon to take away the due process rights of men. It has been used, the Obama administration went out of their mind. Is there some world in which Title IX is useful? Does it do anything for anybody? Does it help with anything?
Well, fewer laws are always better, in my opinion, to protect and preserve liberty. So, the federal government here, what really needs to happen to make sure that that Title IX is appropriately used and that because nobody wants to discriminate on the basis of gender. I think in 2018, we all recognize that, at least in first wave feminism, that's a good thing to make sure that we have equality in that sense. But where this really needs to go is that Congress needs to pick itself up by its bootstraps and actually say, we're going to provide federal legislation that defines gender as biological and an immutable condition. And then all of the cases that are currently being litigated under Title IX, a lot of those would be much more effectively and easily resolved.
It's an amazing thought that we need our Congress to legislate what a man and a woman is. It is indicative of the fact that we've lost our minds. I mean, all right. All right. Well, Jenna, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to talk about the, I'm running out of time, but I'd like to talk about this Title IX thing some more. I've never been quite sure whether it's a good or bad thing because of the way it's demolished certain sports for boys. But we'll have to talk about it another time. Jenna Ellis, director of the Dobson Policy Center.
The next Jenna Spot.
The next Jenna Spot. Exactly. That is what the Jenna Spot is for. That is why there is a Jenna Spot. Thanks very much, Jenna. It's always good talking to you.
Thanks, Jared.
All right, bye.